Hey, Planeswalkers, Mythras here. Hope you're doing well and staying safe. Today, we're doing something different. I'm very excited to share my very own deck that I put together for the top 500. So if you follow my journey, which I'll post down below in the description, you guys can check it out and see that this was the deck that got me to the top 500. So very, very excited about this. I haven't seen it anywhere else before. I was the one that definitely crafted this. So maybe it was the first deck builder, maybe not, but either way, got has Mythras flavor all over it. So with that said, let's take a look at some of the key components. I may spend a little bit more time on this than I normally do for the other decks, primarily just because I played this a ton this season and I put it together. So with that said, here's what we have. A couple things I want to call out here. I really love Shadowspear for a few different reasons. One, I like pairing it with Fervent Champion. Essentially drop right on right away. Turn two, it's always fun to see your opponent go, what the heck, because people forget that you can equip for free to Fervent. Now, well, three or less anyway, but essentially free for most equipment. Now, the other piece that people forget too is the hexproof when you pay one. Now, this is huge against things like Dream Trawler. It's going to pair lovely with Dire Tactics. So keep that in mind. A lot of people forget this. I'll call that my pro tip for today, I guess. But yes, and speaking of Dire Tactics, this card is awesome. It's one of my favorite cards, actually, in Ikoria. And I say that because as a aggro deck here and primarily playing against other aggro decks, this is, in my opinion, one of the most effective removals in terms of creatures anyway. It doesn't hit walkers, but hopefully you can just clear the board anyway and not have to worry about that. So here's a couple of the other cards, kind of your core night deck anyway, but here's the big one that I love and use, Chance for Glory. If you guys continue to follow me and follow kind of the story, I'm doing an episode series again. The first episode here will show this in action for you, and I may have in the journey making it to Mythic 2, but I can't recall. But anyway, check it out. This card is great. One, it's underutilized. Two, it does take a little bit of playing to get used to. The big thing here that I found is you can drop it too early and you can drop it too late. So the timing of this is crucial. Also, it's going to make you think one turn ahead, absolutely, and make you very good at math. So you're going to want to make sure that you're counting right in the different things that you can do and interactions. But typically, it's nice when your opponent taps out and you got free range on their mana and all that. So that said, the other thing I want to point out is this deck is absolutely the only deck that I know of that can turn 3 kill because of this card. Now, you may say it's technically a turn 4 because you're going to turn 4, but you're playing this on turn 3, which locks in the game. So that to me is very crucial. It's one of the only decks, like I said, that I know of in this set that can do it. And you're probably like going, how do you do that? Well, you can absolutely dump Venerable Knight, turn 1, 2 Fervents, turn 2, stack everything on Venerable Knight, get your damage through, because they could still be having a tap mana. Turn 3, you're going to swing it again. You can hit with Chance for Glory, and then technically turn 4, but not really. You can Embercleave them. So that's going to do it for you. That's going to be, what's that, 2, 4... 6 damage, 2, 4, yep, 6 damage, turn 2, another 6 damage, turn 3 with Chance, and then you'll have enough with Embercleave. So something to keep in mind. Now, it doesn't have to be that exact order. I think there's a couple other ways to do it too, but just so that you know, it can be done. The other thing is here, you can get Worthy Knight down with some of the creature tokens, and you can drop Cleave a little bit earlier too. So anyway, keep those things in mind. One of the callouts that I do want to make here is that the mana may seem a little wonky. You can absolutely swap this out. I know that I've ran into problems before. Why do I still keep it? Because situational, to be honest. It's not for me about always being perfect. but more so having options. And I found the option to discard this and the option to hit myself with a pain land here, essentially to draw another card, can make or break games. Additionally, when you have Stormfist on the board and getting a ton of lands, using this to cycle out of some of the stuff's very, very beneficial. Now, you can get caught with Chance for Glory, Embercleave, and some of these 2-drops here if you don't have the right mana base. So you do have to be careful. It can stick you, and I've lost games on that. So there's that. Whew, that was a big breath. Most I've done probably explain a deck and most detailed, but I still want to cover the sideboard here for you. Yes. So I primarily play best of 1, but I have some best of 3 stuff here for you anyway. Again, questions, ask me down below in comments. Yes, this deck is in details. Let's go. So here we go. Apostle of Purifying Light. This is going to give you exile cards from graveyard. So what's this good against? Obviously protection from black. So any black deck, mono black is making a comeback. Rakdos Sack, this works wonders against. So keep some of those things in mind. You could play this, or play something in lieu of this, the 1-drop artifact to exile, those kinds of things for a draw too. Could be something you change up, but on the aggro stuff, having a body is nice. And again, this can be a little bit more situational for you. Embereth Shieldbreaker is here to get rid of artifacts. So this is going to be those teamer decks that are creeping back up as well. It can be against a mirror match. It can be against mono red. It can also be a good sideboard card for Rakdos Sack. And you could play around with these. Dispark here is for some of the bigger stuff. This is another one if you're playing some Azorius control or Jeskai control, hits walkers, those kinds of things too. There's a 4-color walker deck that I did the other day. This really helps you there. And paired with Shadowspear, those kinds of things to get things like Trawler off the board. Beautiful. Unbreakable Formation. This is if you know you're going to play against a board wipe deck. So those decks, again, like Azorius Control, you can play this on your upkeep, or you can play this on their turn. Keep your creatures on the board. It's a big deal. It also gives you another chance in terms of Chance for Glory. So if a lot of times you can play this when they're going to try and wipe your board too, if you just need to keep your creatures alive. But most likely, the reason why you didn't play this when you attacked in, they probably had creatures on the board, and they're going to wipe their own creatures in process. So this is why you'd play this. Those are a couple ideas for you. Now, Drill Bit. I would play this against, Yorion decks are still around. I'd probably maybe play this against some Lurrus stuff too, like the cycle stuff get out of their hand. And you could play this against cycle decks too. I would play this against control decks, also, decks where you know that you need to get cards out of your opponent's hands. Now, last one here that you probably don't see a whole lot, Mythos of Snapped Axe. Why did I put this in? Well, for one, each player chooses an artifact, a creature, or an enchantment, and a planeswalker from among the non-land permanents they control, then sacrifice the rest. This is here for the sole fact that if you get behind. This is here to help you regain board control, especially if you have some cards in your hand. Where would I play this? This can be useful against things like a Rakdos Sack. It can be useful against a teamer deck as well. Keep those in mind because I think it's going to be important. Additionally, if you run into a Yorion deck, maybe this is what you're going to want to use too. So an interesting kind of board clear in terms of it's not everything. It's not like a planar cleansing kind of deal, but again gives you some options. So something that you might want to try out there for best of 3. So anyway, and I think this one's probably underplayed as well. All right, here we go. So we are going to jump into some play matches. I'm saving my mythic matches here for my daily 3. Please forgive me, but trying to keep it separate. Now here I am, rank 1162, so a little bit of decay there over the last almost 24 hours since I've played. Heavily moves, definitely in the top 1200 is what I found, which again, not by any means am I surprised. So all right, here we go. Let's jump into it and stay tuned for some of that other stuff. All right, here we go. Mardu Knights deck. Quickly, just want to say thank you to all the subs as always. Again, please feel free to sub, stay up to speed with what's going on in terms of some competitive play, fun events, all that jazz. Now, one of the other things I didn't mention as I was going through the deck, you can obviously take a look at the Mythic Journey video. That's going to have a little bit more detail about this, but the reason that I really like this deck is, one, it's got a really high win rate on the play, so here we're not on the play, unfortunately. Two, and I'm going to mulligan because I don't have the right base. This one's much better. We're actually going to dump Cleave. Actually, no, I'll get rid of Dire Tactics. High win rate off the play. I was at like almost 80% at one point. Two, what I think is very important is the fact that it did have a high win rate on the draw too, but once I hit Diamond tier towards the end of it, it became a lot harder, and that was like, it actually dropped my win percentage pretty heavily, but I got to Mythic with like an overall win rate of like 57% or something crazy. All right, here we go. I need to focus a little bit. We're gonna enter tapped. So we got to keep all those things in mind as we play. Ended, like I said, ended around like 58%. Pretty high. Yeah, Teffy, of course. So the Esper control deck, yes, we can beat. We got another one. So the problem here, and this is what I'm going to wait on with the other one, is he could have a board wipe. So we're going to leave it like that. Next turn we can shock. Hit for more if we need. So, and this was, you know, on par with my mono red deck, I'd probably say. Does he have two whites? He doesn't have two whites, so that's not going to be a board wipe deck. So if you guys saw that, I was doing numbers on his lands there. So Cry the Carnarium can't kill me. He has to play a Plains to get his board wipe with the 4-drop. That certainly helps him, but we can play Embercleave here, which is going to be big for us. Oh, he's got another color in there. So he's got to kill the board. So if he drops Nicole Bolas, he can kill Knight, but we still can move Embercleave over for free. On Fervent, we can drop 2 Stormfists, get 2 ticks on him. Tipidity, tipidity, tipidity. I don't think it's going to matter. Boom, there we go. 1 game down against Esper T. Pity. All right, we got the Embercleave in. We saw some plays. No chance for glory. All right, 1-0. On to the next match. So the other thing I like about play too is that you can play some pretty interesting decks. So not only are you playing competitive stuff, you're playing stuff that isn't what I'd say like meta sometimes, and it's a good test for your deck as well. So that's one of the reasons why I do this, not only because of trying to pertain the Mythic stuff, and also kind of keeping some of my content separate for you guys, but the reality is it's a good way to kind of check and balance some of these things too. But all right, Oberon Kenobi. Obi-Ron Kenobi. Lovely. All right. So what do we have here? We got Chance for Glory. We got our Venerable Knight. I'm going to keep this one. Now, the other thing that you got to keep in mind is this deck is extremely aggressive in terms of dealing damage to yourself. A lot of people forget that one as well. All right, so this is going to be either Jund-Sack, and it might have been better place Savai Triome there. Jund-Sack or Sultai. It looks like it's going to be a Sultai deck. All right, here we go. Yeah, figured that was gonna happen.
There are so many mysteries, so keep an open mind.
That's fine. We will do this. We can't clip both. And we can get Narset off.
We still have much to learn.
So here's the math game. So we can go 5 and then be 7. We don't have enough. Well, 5. Next turn will be at 11. 7 plus 3. We're short 1 damage. Short 1 damage. And I'm actually going to keep him back. And I'm doing that so that he doesn't get a 2-for-1 on Extinction Event right now. And that's still, that puts my board a little bit safer. Next turn I can Chance for Glory if he doesn't put anything decent, and if he doesn't have any counters to play, that's fine.
We will not fail. Harness the elements.
So this is a good test. Oh, I think we're good. I think we're good. Yeah, I think we're good. And we get to see Chance for Glory. Oh, no, I'm just being mean. Boom, there it is. We got it in. So we got the cleave, we got the chance for glory. You saw some of the thought process there. Is that 2 games, I think? 2. I think we'll go 20 minutes for you guys. I think that's good. We'll do that. 2 matches there, mainly so you guys can see the deck. So what did we play? We played a Sultai, and we played I'm blanking on it. But anyway, too much going on. Here we go. We'll go back and review the deck, you guys. Mardu Knights Glory deck, Chance for Glory that I put together. Let me move my mug, and we'll go over this one more time. So there you go, quickly. All the lands. Here's a breakup for you. I didn't do the detailed one. 24, 14, instance artifacts, all on it. 22 lands. I like 22. I played with 20 for a while. It was one of my versions. Settled on 22. I hate getting flooded, and I hate not trying enough. So 22 seemed to work fine for this deck. And last again, quickly here for you, the sideboard. So if you have questions, like I said, let me know. Please, 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 here to help. If you are looking for the deck, again, in the description. And last, please subscribe to the channel, you guys. Love seeing your faces, love hearing your feedback, love seeing multiple comments and when you guys are following. So please take care. Appreciate your support, and we'll see you again soon. And stay in touch for the seasons of June's Mythic episodes. Let's see if we can stay in the top 1200 and see how it goes. Whether it's with this deck or something else, we'll have to find out. So take care, Planeswalkers. Mythras out. We'll see you again soon. Stay safe.